In our first video, we have seen how to become a data scientist. We have seen the roadmap of it. Now in this video, we are going to learn the first prerequisite to become a data scientist, and that is Python fundamentals. Python is actually a general purpose, object-oriented, interpreted, high-level programming language. There are some key distinguishing features that make it an attractive choice of programming language for beginners. So let me include those things. It is free, it means it is open source, easy to learn, easy to read, easy to maintain, and it provides a large standard library for easy integration in your programs. It is interactive, portable, interpreted. Interpreted means there is no compilation required while we run a program in Python. As well as it is high level, it means it provides automatic memory management. It is extensible. It allows the addition of low-level modules to the interpreter for customization. It is versatile. It supports both procedure-oriented programming as well as object-oriented programming concepts. It is flexible in nature. It means it can create console programs, Windows GUI applications, common gateway interface scripts to process web data. Those are called CGI applications. In today's video, we are going to work in Python 3.1.0, that is Python 3.x version. So let's start working on it. So now you are seeing Python idle on screen. That is our interactive Python shell. This is also called Python interpreter. So you can check the version. We are working on Python 3.10.2, right? So let's start working on it. So first we will start with the comments. Python comments are actually used to create notes while you are working on your program. It also helps new programmers to easily understand their code. It is also run by industries to write comments with the program statements so that if there will be a newcomer in the company, that person will be able to understand the code very well using these comments. Now let's start with variable declaration. So here I have taken a variable a that is equals to 7. So in this we have three concepts included. One, a, which is an identifier, equals to is an operator, and 7 is an integer. So in the left hand side we have identifier, in middle we have an operator, and in the right hand side we have an integer. So let's check the type of a. The type of a on checking shows that it belongs to class int, right? So actually this identifier a is holding the value which is of integer type. Let's study these three concepts one by one. So we will here start with an identifier and their rules. There are few do's and don'ts to pick the name of the identifier. And if our identifier will start with a number, then it will show us a syntax error. As you are seeing that 1a is equals to 45 shows syntax error. Whereas the number can follow a character or a letter. So you can see that a1 is equals to 3 doesn't throw any error. Similarly, we can use some special symbols in the name of an identifier. In Python, we are restricted to use underscore only as a special symbol. E_1 can take a value, whereas W$2 can't take any value because it shows some syntax error due to uses of this special symbol. Now let's proceed to the integers and other data types we use in Python. Data types actually play a very significant role in any programming language because we need to feed data in a program to run it properly. so that it can produce some good outcomes for real world applications. So here let's start with integers. Along with it, we will work on some arithmetic operators as well. Here I have taken a value d is equals to 34. Now we are going to learn the arithmetic operators by using this value. So here I am writing print arithmetic calculations. That is my message that I put in a quotes, and then I put a plus d comma a minus d, a into d, a divide d. So you have seen these calculations in your 4th, 5th, 6th standard mathematics. This we can do in Python. We can do large calculations. So we got few results accordingly. Now let's check other things which Python provide in arithmetic calculations. The other concept is a floor division. Let me calculate d double divide a. What it is able to show, let's see that. I am also checking d divide by a just to make a difference between these two operations. So here I am getting d double divide a is getting a value 4, whereas d divide a gets value which is a decimal number, which is a floating point number in Python, that is 4.85714 and so on. So what double divide does, what floor division does, is to truncate the decimal portion from a number. So here it has truncated everything after this decimal number, and we got the value in an integer format. Now let's work on this remainder operation which we perform using this percentage sign in Python, that is also called modulus. So it actually divides d means 34 by a, that has value 7, and we get the remainder as 6. As 7 fours are 28, that's why we got the remainder as 6. This modulus operation sometimes is very useful while we do programming, while we solve some real world problems. Now till yet we have seen what are integer data types, and we have seen some calculations on integer data types. Now let's take a variable which is holding a floating type value. So here we have assigned a value 4.5 to a variable s, and when we check the class of this variable, it means to check that we write type of s, and that shows it belongs to the class float. It means it is a floating point number. It is holding a floating point number. In Python, everything is an object. So earlier we have checked that a is equals to 7, where a was an object of a class integer. Similarly now s is an object of class type float. There is one more thing we can do in Python. We can provide many variables on left hand side, and accordingly we can assign some values to these variables respectively. So here I have shown you some calculations by adding an integer as well as floating point number. When we do so, we are able to get the values respectively. So here r is the variable which is actually calculating the power of 4.5 a times. So if we will multiply 4.5 7 times, then we will get this value. Whereas other operations we have seen already in the previous section. So in the series of numeric data types, we have already studied integer as well as floating point numbers, or we can say floats. Now there is the turn for complex numbers. In Python we have some numbers which are called complex. They are really used for scientific calculations, where first part is real and second part is imaginary. So in Python we can take such variables which belongs to the class of complex numbers. So here I have taken a variable com and I have written a value 2.7j. So this 2 is the real part, whereas 7j shows the imaginary portion. When we will check the type of this variable, we got it belongs to the class of complex numbers. Now let's proceed. So I am not providing much detail of these complex numbers because they are not very useful in common practice. So now I am going to further show you a different data type which is very useful in Python, and those are called list. List is actually a heterogeneous data type in Python. So here I have taken what do we mean by heterogeneous data types? We can provide the values which belongs to any data type inside a list. So here I have taken the value which is integer as well as float. I have taken some boolean values as well which are true and false, a complex number, and also a list inside list. I am also taking a different data type in Python, that is called string. We will further study some of these data types like boolean and string. We will study in this video. Please keep watching this video and like this video and subscribe our channel. So now let's check the type of lit, that is the variable which is holding this complete list, and it shows that this variable is belonging to the class of list. In list we have the concept of indexing as well as slicing. A index is something which starts with 0 and goes till the length of the list. So in lit this 23 is at index 0, whereas 34 is at index 1, 4.5 is at index 2, and so on. So by using this concept of indexing, we can access any element of the list. And we can save these elements in a variable, and then those variables can be further utilized. So now let's see what is slicing. So here I have taken a variable lit1, and in that I am assigning some values from this list. So I have taken a range 3 to 7. If we will hit enter, we will see that it is able to include the values which is starting with index 3 and goes till 7. Actually this range function, it means 3 to 7 range, the 7th element won't be included in the answer. While we use such kind of iterables, in that case we always go one value lesser than the written value as an end element. So here we are getting the values which are lesser than the 7. Because there are only 6 elements in the list, till 6th index we have the element in the list, that's why we got the complete list. There is one more way to do this slicing, just by writing the first number, start point, and then after colon we leave blank. This also includes the complete list starting from that particular index. So here we got the value starting from 3 and it goes till the end of the list. Now let's proceed to the next concept, which are called tuples. Tuples are also heterogeneous data types as list, but there are few key differences between tuples and list. Tuple also follow the indexing as we have seen in list. If I like to use any value of tuple, then I can write tup1 and it is able to get the first index value, whereas if I write tup5, then we will get this list which is actually at index 5. When we check the type of this tup variable, then it belongs to the class of tuples. So now let's see few key differences between list and tuple. Lists are actually the mutable data types, whereas tuples are immutable data types. That means if we want to change any value after list declaration, that is possible in list using this indexing concept, whereas that is not possible in tuple. So let's see the example of it. So here I have changed the value at second index to 3.4 and it is changed in the list, whereas we got the type error in the tuple because tuple object does not support item assignment. We cannot change the value of tuples. It means they are more secure than list while we do the programming. Tuples are also memory efficient. It means when we declare any list takes some extra memory from the CPU, whereas tuples do not take any extra memory because they are not expendable, whereas lists are further expendable in nature. Now we are able to understand what are different data types in Python. We have seen numeric data types and also iterables. In this series of iterable data types, strings have a very significant place. Now we are going to understand what are string data types. So here I have taken a variable and to this variable we are assigning a whole line which is containing multiple characters in it. Those are words. I have taken a line. You are watching Python refresher. So here when I'll check the type of this st, it belongs to the class of string. In Python, if you want to make anything string, you can use single quotes or double quotes around it. In the strings, there is also a concept of indexing as well as slicing, as we have already seen in list. So if we want to check some value, we can use the concept of indexing. So here I am checking value what is at 23rd index of this st variable. So you can see these blank inverted commas. It shows that, and there is a space in between. It shows that we are checking now the blank element which is at 23rd index. We can also compute the length of this string. It means how many elements are there inside this st, or we can say how many letters or characters are there inside this st variable. So when I'll check len of st, we got value 33. It means total 33 characters are there inside this st variable. If we will check some other index like 24, we got the value r. Right, that is the starting character of this refresher word. So string, this complete sentence is actually stored in a single variable. But if we want to refer the words inside these sentences, so to do that there are some list functions which are available. So we can use a very simple function, split function. So we will write this st.split and this shows us all the words separated with commas, and every word we have inverted commas around it. It shows that we got the list of words because it is enclosed inside a big bracket. So let's see the opposite of split, that is called join. So this is the syntax for join. We write inverted comma dot join and then we provide the list containing all the words. Whatever we provide inside these inverted commas in the beginning, that is the separator for joining the words. If we do not provide anything, then it will join all the words one after another. it is a bit difficult to read the sentence. And if we will provide some other symbols inside these inverted commas like underscore I am picking up in here, so every word are now connected with this underscore. So let's see the concept of slicing in list. So here I have taken a slice which is starting with 2 and ending to the 12. So if we will count the index from 0, we will reach till here because H is at 12th index. And we have already got this concept that in iterables we always get values which are 1 lesser than the range element. Right? Now let's proceed to the very important data type in Python, and those are called dictionaries. Why they are very popular and very useful data types? Because they actually take key value pair. It means you want to create a list in which every ingredient is included with its quantity. So let's say here I have taken a dic1 name dictionary which is declared in a curly braces, and inside this I am taking some values along with their prices. So I have taken apple with its cost 120, orange with cost 80 and plum with cost 200. So this apple is in inverted commas, so you can say this is a string, right? And 120 is the number, and you can say it is an integer. You are very right. But in dictionary, this combination is called key value pair. So here we got first value which is apple colon 120. Second is orange colon 80 and so on. Here in dictionaries we do not have the concept of indexing. If we try to access the first element of the dictionary, we cannot write dic dic1 and then we provide first index. If we will do this, it will understand this one is a key in the dictionary, but it is not there. So in dictionary, to access elements we need to provide keys, and after providing key like orange we are able to access its value, that is 80. In the similar fashion we can change the values in the list. They are actually mutable data types. So here we can change the value of this orange by accessing it, and we provide the new value of this element, of this key. Right, so now the value is updated to 100. If we would like to access the keys of this dictionary, then we can write dic1.keys, and this is the function which actually return you all the keys in the dictionary. Whereas there is other function which is values. So when we will write dic1.values, we are able to get all the values inside the dictionary. Now if we want to sort the values provided by this values function, we can write the syntax. We can use the function sort. So to do that, what we need to do is to change these dic1.values, which is actually following a dict value data type, as we can check the type of G in here which is holding the values provided by dic1.values, and we got that it belongs to the class of dict values. To change that to a list, we can use the concept of explicit data type conversion. So here we are converting these dict values to a list by providing list, and inside this we provide the variable name. With this we can use the concept of sorting, because lists have a function called sort. So we can do g.sort, which will actually sort all the values for us. So now all the values we got in a sorted fashion. Now let's come to another data type that are called sets. So as we have studied in mathematics, there are sets. In Hindi they are called samuchya. So these are actually a set which is declared with curly braces, and inside it we provide the values. Sets are actually the data types which contain homogeneous values. And also there is no concept of indexing in sets because they do not follow any order. So if we declare the set like this, and once we will print the set W, we are able to get the values in an unordered way. When we will check the type of W we got, that it belongs to the class of set. There is one more important thing in sets, that they do not allow duplicate values. So if we will provide many values of a single element, like here I am providing 3 times 12, but when we print the value of a set, the 12 is coming only one time. Now let's move. We have almost finished all the data types available in Python which are more useful. Now let's proceed with decision control in Python. In the next video, we are going to understand what are different decision control statements in Python, the loops, as well as functions we will include in the coming video. Please keep watching and subscribe this channel if you want to become a data scientist. There are other videos you can explore which help you to become a good data scientist having computer vision as well as machine learning skills. Thank you for watching this video.